All right, review time. I received an email from this company, Gonex, saying, can we send you our little kit that we have available on Amazon? It's primarily an ab wheel, but also includes these elastic bands, push-up handles, slide discs, and of course a mat for your knee. And I was like, yeah, sure. So thank you very much, guys, for sending this my way. So let's dig in and see what we got. So the main component of the whole thing is this ab wheel. And it's great. It's an ab wheel. It does what ab wheels do. The ab rollout or stretch out is one of the best core exercises you can ever do for training your abdominals, your hips, that core stability, rigidity, shoulder mobility. You work your back, and I've long believed it's just one of those things that everybody should have in their repertoire to some degree. This one in particular has a relatively wide wheel, which is handy for a little bit more stability, especially over rough surfaces. And I also found it was a lot easier for me to kind of go with oblique twisting stretch outs than typically if I was using a narrower ab wheel. It was a lot more energy spent in trying to not tip over. And these grips are also very ergonomic. I really like this type of grip design that puts a little bit more pressure in the meat of your palm, so much so that I have a similar style grip that I use on my mountain bike because it just gives you more control, more comfort, more security. So those two innovations basically build up to a more stable, more comfortable, and easier to use and more effective ab wheel, in my opinion. Next up, we have these elastic bands. And first impression of these, I like this cloth covering that they put on there. It kind of gives it a little bit more of a premium feel to it. But these are kind of curious. When I first started getting my hands on these, I'm like, well, what good are these? I mean, they're not exactly a very high resistance type band. I kind of did an impromptu weight machine strength test, and I clocked these at roughly about 3 pounds of resistance each. So if you're someone who's looking to do ab rollouts and push-ups and other things, you're probably not going to find these are sufficient resistance for your primary mode of resistance in most any exercises. Even rotator cuff may be a little light. So after playing around with these for a bit, I noticed I can attach these to the ab wheel and then attach them onto something sturdy like that weight machine there. And what this does is it gives you the ability to either add assistance or resistance to the classic ab wheel stretch out. A couple of the little things that you get into it. You get a knee pad here, textured on one side. Not really much to say about this. It's very comfortable, durable. It does the job. It does very well, and it's not terribly thick. But then again, it doesn't need to be, because remember, when we're doing ab rollouts, you want as much of your weight as possible on the wheel and not on your knees. So this is most certainly adequate for that application. Next up, we've got these slide discs. Very simple device here. We've got the Gonex logo on it, very nice. And these I appreciated having in it because the ab stretch out is one that usually requires stability and isometric control in your abs and your hips, and you're using motion through your arms and your shoulders. So these give you the opposite, where you can have stability in your shoulders, where your hands are on the ground, and now you can do a lot of hip flexion and lumbar flexion type exercises like mountain climbers, knee tucks and stuff, and it helps to round out the overall core training experience. These, for some reason, I had trouble getting them to reliably slide on a lot of surfaces. Usually, a plastic disc is used on soft surfaces like carpet, and I found that it was just a lot more friction than I was anticipating. I use this on like hard surfaces, tile and stuff, which does kind of scratch up the bottom, but it works really well for that, and it gives you those extra options in the same kit. And then lastly, we have these push-up handles that came in the kit. These push-up handles are kind of neat. They have a similar takedown design where the feet just come right on off and on. There's nothing to turn or twist. You don't need any tools, so they pack down pretty compact. And for me, I gave up using push-up handles over a decade ago, and to this day, I still believe it was one of the best things I ever did for my training career. I usually encourage people to not have to depend on the use of push-up handles because there's much more benefit to working with a flat palm on the ground. But I know that some people, you may have a wrist injury or something, and you just feel like this is a little bit more comfortable for you, so they'll do the job. Handle's a little narrow for my taste. I have fairly big palms, so this felt a little tight and more of a pressure point on my palm when I was using it. And these foam coverings here these I typically find wear out on most push-up handles. I've never seen a set of push-up handles with this foam that lasts more than several months. Even these tend to slide back and forth even after a couple of uses. It gets stretched out and torn up. Not a big deal, but it is something just to kind of be aware of. So final verdict, I would say this is great for anyone who's kind of setting up a home gym and they just want options when it comes to their core training exercises and routines. Thank you very much, Gonex, for sending this my way. It was a lot of fun to play with. Like the video if you like it, subscribe for more future product reviews, and let me know if you have questions down below. Thanks much for watching. Be fit and live free.